Lady P and Me, Mirror and Smoke, Codename Elegance, by Marcus Hunter-Neill, Episode 1. The Arrival Scene, 1 and 2. Venice. 2:07 p.m. That kind of heat that feels more like silk than weather soft and heavy, carrying the faint scent of airport fumes, jet fuel, and something else. Something exquisite. Possibility. The air shifts. So do the whispers. Something. Someone has just arrived. The matte black car, idling beside the private hangar, says everything it needs to. Someone extraordinary is about to get into this car, probably a president, a prince, or Elton John, has swung by for some shopping. The jet doors ease open with a slow, deliberate breath, and the first thing to emerge is the silhouette of a woman carved from light itself. Lady Portia. Hair. Amber red with flecks of gold. Glossy and a gentle wave gravity defiant. The kind of bounce that suggests a blow dry performed by angels. A sweep of one hand pushes it back, revealing flawless bone structure, immaculate makeup, and a gaze that lands like a signature. Her sunglasses rest on top of her head like a crown. She is the moment, the myth, the rumor made real. The heels she wears, custom Louboutins in red enamel with gold accents, chime delicately across the tarmac to the waiting car to take her to security. As she glides through security with the elegance and quiet confidence of an exquisite swan on a clear blue lake, the scanner lights up with a faint warning. Both shoes trigger it. The passport officer, mid-sentence, stops. His eyes widen. He's supposed to ask her to remove them. He's supposed to call for backup. Instead, he blinks, clears his throat, and fumbles with the scanner, mesmerized by her beauty, and in awe of her radiance, and hypnotized by her perfume. Oh, these old things, Portia purrs, laying one manicured hand on his forearm. They beep everywhere. It's terribly embarrassing. The man blushes. He waves her through. No one notices the microchips hidden in the heels or the priceless painting rolled into the lining of her bag. She doesn't take off her shoes. She doesn't have to. The fragrance she wears drifts behind her like a signature. A custom blend, designed by Portia herself, fig, salt caviar, and something no one can quite name. It can't be bought in any store, as it's a blend she made uniquely herself, worn exclusively by her. People say they smell her before they see her, or have they just missed her? Either way, by then, it's already too late. Draped around her neck, 15 million pounds of diamonds, given to her by one of her many admirers. She can't remember which one. They blur together. Every suitor wants Portia on their arm. Every billionaire, prince, heiress, and tycoon. But none of them have ever kept her. She's been single her entire life. She dances solely to the beat of her own drum, save for the whispered myth of her and Marcus, MI5's most infamous pair. A love so wild, so volatile, it burned itself out. Or so they say. No one knows the truth. No one dares ask. London. 1:07 p.m. A world away. Marcus sits in a small cafe just off the Thames, nursing a cup of hazelnut-infused coffee, some cream and 2 brown sugars. He likes what he likes. The table he's chosen is in the corner, not by chance. From here, he can see everything. The reflections in the cafe mirrors. The movement in the glass shop fronts across the piazza. What's behind him? What's ahead? All without moving a muscle. He wears what some would call modern country gent, tweed layered over denim. A storm grey jumper under, a green suede leather jacket hangs on the back of the chair. Smart brogues, or sleek navy sneakers, if the day calls for speed. Marcus has a very distinctive scent. He wears Tom Ford Tuscan leather mixed with tobacco. Surprisingly, people say they can smell him before they see him, or have they just missed him? He blends in effortlessly. Ruggedly handsome, soft blonde brown hair, in a side parting always with 3 days double, somewhat unremarkable until you notice him, and by then, Well, you shouldn't have noticed him at all. He checks his phone. A message lights up. Lady P in position. Operation Figment cleared. Debrief 1945. MI5 headquarters. Briefing room 4C. The room smells like metal and stale ambition. Marcus has already arrived. The door opens behind him. The handler walks in, older, gruffer, unimpressed by glamour. Still sharp, though. Still dangerous. Right, the handler says. Lady P's already been briefed. Marcus doesn't respond. She asked not to be here when you were, the handler continues, setting the file on the table. Said the joint email thread was a mistake, asked for a separate slot. He flips the file open with a smirk. Her exact words were, Marcus is a prick in person. We work better on opposite ends of a continent. Silence. But Marcus gives a warm, subtle, affectionate smile, thinking of something or someone who may think he's prick in person. Still, the handler leans in. You know the rumours, don't you? Paris, Marrakesh, that tango in Monaco. You were MI5's hottest couple. People still talk about it. The handler chuckles. And does she really have a flat above a patisserie in Saint-Germain, paid for by a prince? He leans back in the chair. Thing is, their love story has become Chinese whispers, and each generation of recruits add their own flair too, the golden couple of MI5. A ghost in diamonds. They believe it like it's fact. The truth is, none of that ever happened. Well, in the way they say, most of the stories are true, but they weren't always together. Marcus says nothing, just a cheeky, chappy grin. He lets them believe the myth and legends of the love story, the heartbreak, the idea that she slipped through his fingers. It keeps people from asking deeper questions, and he likes that just fine. Back inside the Venetian suite, Lady P is soaking in the tub. The same briefing file lies untouched on the marble edge. She's painting her toes, listening to Nina Simone. Jazz crackles gently in the background, a shared love she and Marcus never really spoken of, yet always connects them. The operation she just completed, codenamed Figment, recovered not just stolen artwork, but something far more valuable. Recordings, incriminating ones, mob bosses, politicians, deals whispered in smoke-filled rooms. MI5 will be using those for years. Lady P leans back. The diamonds on her chest shift with a gentle splash. She doesn't reach for the file. She doesn't need to. She'll read it in the morning over coffee as she jets back to London. And besides, she's busy prepping for something much bigger. Figment, Mark II. Mirror and Smoke. Codename Elegance. By Marcus Hunter-Neill. Episode 1. The Arrival, Scene 3. A Flying Visit. Lady P's town car drops her off in front of a villa, big enough to be a castle way up in the hills overlooking this soft glow from town below. In daylight, the view would be spectacular, but at the moment she's surrounded by nothing but the stars and flickering candles that light the pathway she is walking down alone. As she nears closer to the entrance, backlit by the moon and uplit by the yellow glow from the candles, in a full-length, golden nude sequined dress that shimmered like champagne under moonlight, with a thigh split that was high enough to show enough leg that it could get her another diamond necklace, or at least a tennis bracelet. She looked like a supermodel closing a runway show in Milan. As the rhythm of her 5-inch gold heels taped on the paving stones, as though it was a theme song introducing her arrival. Her hair glistened in the moon, and her chest sparkled with diamonds. The gala invitation didn't exist. Not on paper, not on email, not even as a whisper, which made it all the more awkward when Lady P all dressed up, only to be told at the velvet rope she had nowhere to go. Name's not on the list. The man at the door was broad, bored, and far too cocky. Portia offered a smile. You sure? Try Lady P. Or possibly, the guest your boss will regret denying. He didn't even glance down at the clipboard, just blocked her with one large, underpaid arm. His mistake. A moment later, he was unconscious behind a coat rack, tucked neatly into the shadows like last season's cashmere. Not a hair out of place on her head. She adjusted her ring, exhaled, and walked straight through the double doors as though nothing had happened. The gala swallowed her whole. Inside, it was wall-to-wall opulence, mirrored ceilings, gold-leafed walls, waiters carrying trays like choreography. Every guest looked like they'd just stepped off a yacht, but none of them looked like her. Portia moved like smoke and money. The gown, sculpted, drenched in rose gold sequins. The necklace, diamonds again, worth more than most homes in Belgravia. She couldn't quite remember who gave it to her. But then again, everyone tried to buy her. No one ever could. The crowd turned. Cameras didn't flash. It was a strict camera-free gala. But if they had, she would have outshone them all. She lifted a champagne flute, waved, demure, smiled at someone she didn't recognize. But she wasn't here for the bubbles. She was here for a phone. The target was leaning against a pillar near the rear of the ballroom. Their eyes meet. He's hypnotized and mesmerized with one glance. He's mob-connected, dangerous, paranoid, just the kind of man who never let his mobile out of sight because the secrets inside it were worth more than his life. She caught his eye from across the room, gave him the smile, the one that had brought presidents to their knees and movie stars to stammer. He couldn't look away. Minutes later, they were tucked into a side room, private, dim. The kind of place where you could almost pretend she wasn't about to destroy him. "I don't normally drink with strangers," he said, slick. She replied softly, with a voice like velvet. "Then let's get to know each other quickly. As a stranger is only a friend we haven't met, or a lover we've yet to share a kiss with." Even though he was a mob boss, his face flushed, as his pulse raced because he knew he was in for some action, as women usually throw themselves at him. It's amazing what a little bit of money can do for women to cloud their judgment. She poured 2 drinks, lifted them by the top of each glass as she carried them over to where they are sitting. He's paranoid. Anne watched every motion she did to make sure he wasn't poisoned. The diamond ring on her right hand clicked softly. Just enough pressure on the hidden band to release a pale shimmer of powder undetectable in the swirl of ice. She handed him the glass. He toasted her, drank. It took 90 seconds. By then his tongue was loose and the mobile was on the table. Passwords, spilled. Names, all of them. Bank transfers, drop locations, insider trades. He confessed it all with the dreamy grin of a man in love not knowing he'd been dosed with truth powder engineered for MI5 by Portia's private lab, and all recorded in the heel of Portia's custom stilettos. When the question stopped, she leaned in as though to kiss him, whispered sensually into his ear. "Sleep tight." Another click of her ring. This time, he inhales a subtle sedative. He slumped into the cushions, snoring softly. A drunk, a bore, a footnote. She slipped the phone into her clutch, slid open the window she'd already unlatched for some air while they were chatting. From the 3rd floor balcony, a thin wire already existed across to the opposite building. She hooked a heel over the telephone line. Balanced. Whispered to herself, "Not bad for a stopover." Then just like that, she was gone, cutting across moonlight with her diamonds and the champagne sequin gown cascading behind her like falling stars. All that remained was the faintest trace of her perfume. Fig, salted caviar, and a note of mystery. And a sleeping mobster with no idea he'd just been undone. Venice Airport, 7:02 a.m. Her jet was waiting. The pilot didn't ask where she'd been. No one ever did. Her bags were already loaded. Inside, she reclined in a silk robe. Fresh fruit, Jazz on a speaker. She opens the folder with her new brief, wearing another necklace, another day. She had so many she joked, use them or lose them. Back to London, because later she had a date at Christie's auction house, as Marcus would be waiting. Together again. To be continued.